Hold on a minute.
What up, everybody? Welcome to Third and Long. You have made it to the end zone. Here we are. It is Monday, September 24. It is 10:30 a.m. It is not noon.
Or 11.
Or 11. Or around noon. But we're doing it anyway because we didn't give you a Third and Long show last week due to some other things that were going on with work. And also due to that, there is no Chief himself in the flesh in the studio. It is just me and RNDY. And we're just going to kick it with you and go over this crazy past weekend of sports, college football specifically. NFL is pretty crazy too. I know you don't care about that, Randy, but...
No, I do, a little bit. Loosely.
Yeah, I mean...
Hey, let's talk about this. I looked at the score last night this morning from the Patriots and Lions game. I just took a glance.
Yeah.
And I came in and said, yeah, the Pats beat the Lions. And Clay said...
You would think that, wouldn't
Clay says, no, it's like a subliminal thing, a subconscious thing.
It is. That's the thing. People just assume that Tom Brady, Belichick, and the Pats are going to win, and they played horribly last night.
Dude, I didn't realize this till last night. Stafford, my boy from Georgia, kind of only my boy. He was only nominally committed to.
It's just the highest paid NFL player.
Yeah, he's only nominally committed to the U.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. He has a losing record in the NFL apparently.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
Yep, the Lions they've not been.
Yeah, they've been trash.
Yeah, they've not been good. But the Pats normally are. But I haven't watched a whole lot of Patriots football, admittedly, because I just don't like Tom Brady. In general.
Is he too beautiful for you?
I don't know. It's something weird about him. I've heard that if you meet him in person, he's really nice.
Yeah.
But he comes across bad to me on TV.
I've heard I knew people that knew Belichick and had met him because I lived in the area. So I went to Gillette Stadium.
Yeah.
I'm a Pats fan loosely. I use the term loosely. Yeah, I mean, I live there. Like it's like
live up that way.
It's like college
That's
football
true.
here. It's in the water. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen anything like. These people are crazy for NFL.
Oh, sure.
Not down here. People down here are just like, it's something to do on Sunday.
Well, I mean, we have the Falcons,
Yeah.
We did what they did yesterday and mess it up.
Got beat by the
Great game,
Saints.
though. I mean,
yeah.
And when you get Drew Brees running in for touchdowns, you got to wonder what's going on.
How old is Drew Brees now?
He's not quite as old as Brady.
Still old.
I think he's 34.
He's got to be older than that, dude.
No, I don't think so. I looked not too long ago. And I was surprised at how young he really is.
Really?
Yeah, because Brady is 41.
He's 39.
Oh, okay.
Close, yeah.
Who is it that's younger than I thought then? Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, yeah. Aaron Rodgers was in a kind of era after them out at Cal. Right. I was a Cal fan. That was my West Coast team for a while.
Really?
In fact, I went to the Cal. I can't remember who they played. It was back when Marshawn was there. We went on my honeymoon to a Cal game. My
Golden
poor
Bears.
wife.
I don't. If I had to pick a West Coast team. Honestly, I'm probably rolling with the Ducks.
Yeah,
I know that seems weird because now Taggart's with us at Florida State, but yeah, I've always kind of had a soft spot for the Ducks, even when they blew us out in that first.
It's just because you like Nike. You have this like.
Nah, it's not.
Yeah,
it's just something about I don't know. I just like the schemes.
Fluorescent green.
Yeah, and one of my favorite championships ever was Oregon Auburn. Was that 2011?
Let's don't talk about Auburn. They paid for that championship. Scam Newton.
What a game, though.
Yeah.
What a game. That was a spectacle.
Scam Newton.
I like Cam Newton, too, though.
Dude,
that's the problem.
Nick Fairley, I never liked Auburn. I grew up 45 minutes from him, so I never, ever, ever liked Auburn.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not.
But
I'm
Nick
not big
Fairley,
on the Auburn Tigers, but
Nick Fairley repeatedly spearing and hitting Aaron Murray after the whistle. I'm just done with him.
Yeah.
I hope Auburn never beats anybody ever.
I get that, dude. You're a Georgia fan, though. You kind of have to be that way. It's the way I am with Miami.
Yeah, most Georgia
fans. They can do no right for me.
A lot of I think with Georgia, it depends on what area of the state you grew up in.
Yeah.
Because where I'm from, you either like Auburn or you hate them. Yeah. Up here in North Georgia, people are, it's more of a Tennessee thing in terms of our biggest rival. And then down in South Georgia, it's Florida.
Yep.
And it's not Tech for anybody because Tech's just terrible.
What's wrong with Tech, man?
They're running an antiquated offense, and they can't recruit. I mean,
I don't understand. I was talking to somebody yesterday about it, and they're a big Tech fan, and I was like, man, why don't they just switch it up? Like, why can't obviously, Willie Taggart had no problem installing a brand new scheme, even if it's going to suck. You know what I mean?
The difference with that is they've recruited athletes for a very particular kind of system. So if they switch it up, if they fire Paul Johnson, they're going to have to.
Well, it's going to take several rebuildings.
They're going to have to come in with a guy that, if they switch to a pro style or a modified pro style, they're going to have a guy come in and say, okay, we know our quarterback's 5'11", 180 pounds.
Well, my thing is, if I was a wide receiver.
Yeah, why would you go there?
Why would I go to Georgia Tech? Because the ball's not getting thrown to me.
Right.
Except on those, randomly they'll throw a long bomb in there just to.
When they beat Georgia 2 years ago, 2016, I was at that game, and I was texting somebody, and we're like, it's over because Georgia was up big, and Tech's not known for passing. They threw the same pass down the middle of the field like 3 times in a row and scored, and then they just did it. It was
because honestly, you
don't expect it.
You don't, even if they do it twice in a row, you're like, oh, well, there's no way they're doing this 3 times in a row because they're always running the ball. But anyway, people don't tune into 3rd and Long to talk about Georgia Tech. They tune in for the hottest takes off the hottest grill from the previous week and what's coming next. If you're listening live on Spreaker, we appreciate that. If you're listening later on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anything like that, Spotify, iHeartRadio, we know you're out there. I see the what do you call it? Where it shows you where they're from. Not sources, but the Anyway, I see where you're listening from, but I'd like to know which platform you're listening on. If you would shoot us a comment in the chat, or you want to leave a review, tell us where you're listening from. I would appreciate that data. There's no way for me to get that unless you, the listener, participate. But we appreciate you. Do tune in on Wednesday at 2. Every Wednesday at 2, we do Third Thoughts, which is a little more political, a little more current events based. And not sports focused at all. And
we try not to be so political based, but guess what?
We can't help it, man.
That's like everything coming up. Yeah.
Third Thoughts is a news podcast. That's the way I market it, and so we just have to go by the news.
I'm sure we'll talk about that dude. What's his name? Brett Kavanaugh? Give him some more exposure. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had to.
So tune in Wednesday for that if you're interested in that. But this is the sports.
That was really bad. That was a really bad pun or joke.
You did your best. So, interesting weekend in football. Georgia handled Missouri.
Yeah, it was ugly,
it was
dude.
Weird. But it's always weird. Yeah. And have you noticed the only Missouri game I ever watch is the one versus Georgia, because I don't think they air their games very often.
Not here. Weird. We're not going to get it.
We don't get them.
I mean, they're going to be on the SEC network probably, depending on if they're playing an SEC team.
Because I feel like because of where they are, they're in the East and they're middle of the road.
Right.
Like they don't get the TV time. You have all these other SEC programs that get the TV time, and we're in Georgia, so we don't get that. But anyway, that's the only one I ever watched. But have you noticed the camera angle is funny?
That's because they're. Well, I guess it was ESPN this way. I mean, it's like the 8th camera team,
But I feel like it's because of their stadium. Because it's not like that.
Yeah.
In Athens.
Because there's no upper deck there, I don't think. It's just a straight up stadium.
Weird,
it's just a
weird
bowl.
Camera angle. It almost looks like one of those alternate things you can do on Madden, where you can see it different. But I'm always thrown off by that in the Missouri game.
Yeah, the coverage of the game was terrible. They were covering what's his name? Not Mel Kiper. What's the other guy that does the draft pick stuff? He was down on the sidelines, and they bet him.
Tom McShay.
Yeah. If he would climb up the top of the crane, and I'm like,
dude, honestly, that crane got more coverage.
And they never mentioned our right guard broke his fibula. They never mentioned it.
I know they're too busy talking about the
He just went out, and they're up there, and I'm like, but it is a step up from Beth Mowins.
Oh,
I hope we never get her/him again. Literally, it's so ambiguous, her voice. When I hear it, I always think it's a man, and then I listen, I'm like, oh, that's not a man.
See, for me, it's different. I always know that it's her, and I immediately mute the game and get on Reddit and just look at the game thread instead for commentary. Which I do that. Quick aside, we're gonna. I know you want to talk about Georgia a little bit, but
not really.
I
was mad.
What can you say? Because I mean, anyway, I the new iPhone update.
Yeah.
Has the screen time and we were talking about this earlier, but for the listener,
Dude.
so if you update your iPhone or whatever to iOS 12, it does screen time now, and it tells you in the settings how long you've been on certain apps, how long you look at your phone, how many times you picked up your phone in a day. A lot of statistics. If you're into sports statistics, maybe you should check out your iPhone statistics because it's very scary. I actually was looking at my phone, according to the app, looking at my phone for 12 hours and 20 minutes on Saturday. Now, I watched every single game that I could watch. I was flipping back and forth. I had games pulled up on my phone, too. I'm just a football fan, I just can't get enough. But I was always in the game threads on Reddit, so I guess that accounts for my 12 hours. Put it in there. If you're on Reddit, jump in those college football threads. Those are fun.
Yeah, I haven't got. I need to check it out.
You would love it, man. It gets witty. There's a lot of banter. There's a lot of back and forth.
I'm on Rivals.
And that stuff's good. I think
it's depressing though, dude. Like,
you pay for it though, don't you?
Yeah, I do because it has recruiting news. But that junk's depressing. I mean, Georgia looked rough.
Yeah,
on the road against
that first quarter. I was like, this is odd.
But I mean,
I never thought they were going to lose the game.
They're right. They're on the road though against a decent team. I mean, Missouri has
and Drew Lock's
probably top 5.
He's a great quarterback.
One of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NCAA. They held him to no touchdown passes. Mm-hmm. We haven't given up any rushing touchdowns all year. We gave up 4 rushing touchdowns in that game. But that's, I think, because we were playing back. We were playing a lot of nickel dime. Yeah. Didn't have bigger guys. And our inside linebacker play has not been great. I mean, I think Roquan Smith last year, all world.
Oh, I mean, he covered up. And,
he covered up deficiencies for sure.
They cover up a lot of holes. And you just don't know until they're gone.
We're young. I mean, we're still young on defense. We're young on offense. I mean, we got we have a true. Well, let's think. Yeah, now we have a true freshman that's a left tackle. Our sophomore left tackle's out, and I think the only senior we have the only upperclassman on the entire line is a center. Yeah, that's it.
I feel your pain, bro.
Yeah, but they can block. I mean, they're not bad. True. We're getting 40 points a game plus. Yeah. You can't complain about that. But people are just acting like we are absolutely trash. We're talking about 18 to 22-year-old kids here that we're playing at 11 a.m. local time.
Right.
I mean,
you're going
to have those games, man. Do you think they wanted to get up for that? They probably thought we were going to run all over them because Purdue Purdue had like 600 yards passing or something stupid. Yeah. It is what it is.
But here's the thing about it. This is why I like, and the NFL showed flashes of this yesterday. But the reason I love college football so much is that literally anything can happen.
Yeah.
To anybody. No one is safe. And I know we talk about Bama being just unstoppable, and they very well may be. And I have no reason to believe that they won't.
I just don't see anybody that can beat them.
Right. I feel the same way. But in the same vein, literally, I believe that anything can happen to anybody.
Yeah, this was one of those weekends, wasn't it? I mean,
it was. You look at number 13 Virginia Tech,
who beat Florida State,
who smashed us. Okay, looked like maybe the number 2 team in the ACC. When we had Clemson.
Yep.
Miami's hanging around, but they haven't played anybody.
Right.
Except LSU, which was supposed to be a hard game, and it was a Sunday night game. We can chalk it up to that. But so we had Clemson, we had Miami, maybe. And you have Virginia Tech, and that's really that was the ACC.
That's it for that. Boston College was supposed to be,
and they
got beat by Purdue.
Yeah, I'm an 0-3 Purdue.
Yeah, I was mystified by that because Boston College has looked good so far.
Mm-hmm. So then you have Virginia Tech taking on Old Dominion,
who got beat by Liberty. Didn't they get gobsmacked by Liberty?
Crushed by Liberty.
Yeah.
Now listen, I am a Liberty student, okay? I'm a graduate student at Liberty.
What's Liberty's mascot?
The Flames.
That's ironic,
yeah,
considering their stance on some things.
Yeah. So, look, Liberty's not a football school. It's not about that. It's a seminary, basically. It just has gotten big enough to be on this stage.
They do have a gun range. That's why
they have a gun range.
That's a recruiting angle right there.
It is. I mean, shoot, $3, rent a rifle, shoot some rounds. So yeah, Old Dominion gets blasted by Liberty. I think it was 52-7. Okay, you got Virginia Tech who exposed Willie Taggart and Florida State first game of the year. All the hype, all the air let out because they just came out. And they did, we hung, the defense hung with them. It's just our offense couldn't do anything. And then the final score obviously shows the disparity there. But yeah, you got this ACC contender, we think, right?
Yep.
And they go into the game. Josh Jackson gets hurt. He's carted off the field. He's on crutches by the end of it. So he's definitely very hurt. I don't actually know what the injury ended up being, if you want to check on that. But he gets hurt. The game just gets out of control. And you have this shootout between what should be maybe the second or third best team in the ACC and Old Dominion.
With their backup quarterback in.
Yeah. And you I didn't watch the whole thing because I didn't realize what was happening until the end of it. And I saw them tie it up and I saw them take the lead. And I can't explain it to you how they ran down the field and scored those last two scores.
Well, I think on ESPN they do a percentage of who's going to win, and the chances, it was 1.9% for ODU. 1.9%.
And that's what I'm saying. Anything can happen. Because I looked through these percentages.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, say what you want about ESPN. It's at least fun data.
Yeah.
You can't tell, really. But you get these percentages and you're like, oh, man, we got a good chance. There's no way they're going to beat us. And then stuff like this happens.
Dude, at least when App State beat Michigan, at least when
Right.
App State was like good, they were legit. ODU was terrible. I mean,
and they'll probably be terrible the rest of the season. That's the thing. Like, what are they going to go do now? But now Virginia Tech is out of the conversation.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and with Josh Jackson out, I mean I think that offense falls off a lot.
It doesn't say much about his injury yet. It's like an ankle. They said he's in a boot, so they're not giving. I mean, some coaches are sly.
Sure, no, but I did see it was Old Dominion had 600 something yards on offense, which is the most yards allowed by Bud Foster in 24 years.
Dude, he's been rolling at it a long time.
He has, and he's good. He's
a
legend. Bud Foster's a
legend.
mean,
the question is, did we hype them up too much because they beat FSU? Do you ever notice that? We hype these teams up that beat another team we think is good. Yeah. They stay up high until they play another decent team and they get throttled, and then you have to reevaluate. It's a whole process.
Oh, yeah.
So like,
you would expect Virginia Tech to go into an ACC conference game.
Yeah.
Like a conference level matchup, and then they get beat, solidly. And then you're like, oh, they weren't that good. You don't expect them to go to Old Dominion.
It's just, and then Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma letting Army hang around.
I mean, in fairness, that's that wonky offense.
It is.
Time of possession, you just run, keep the other team off the field. Their best running back for Oklahoma is still out. Yep. They're still breaking in Kyler Murray for his one season.
But he can sling it, man.
He can. Apparently not fast enough or far enough. I don't know, but they're still, which is what's quizzical to me. I always look at the college football playoff rankings, the projected ones by ESPN. One ESPN writer, Edward Ashoff, has Bama, Clemson, Ohio State, and his fourth is OU. He dropped Georgia out this week and put OU in.
See, I don't know how you can do that.
I don't either.
You have Georgia, who, even though had some struggles early and looked funny a little bit, they come out and they solidly beat an SEC team
on the road with the number one quarterback in the league
at 11 in the morning.
At 11 in the morning. I mean,
and then you have Oklahoma taking on Army. And now, look, I know the military schools, they're always like, I mean, those guys
they're not much bigger than you usually.
I mean, whatever. They're disciplined. What I mean is,
right?
So they're gonna play relatively clean compared to most schools. There's always gonna be a little bit of a challenge. I wouldn't if I was another team, I would never go into a military school matchup and go, we're just about to blast them,
right?
Because you never know. I mean, they're, So anyway, but you would think Oklahoma, ranked as high as they are, the strength they've showed so far, strength of that quarterback, and you're like,
I mean, the reason they didn't score more is the time of possession for Army.
Yeah, they just.
I mean,
hold the
that's
ball.
just they just hold the ball, and you can't.
Which
I
is
mean,
usually the Georgia Tech strategy, but it
yeah.
doesn't seem to be working out.
Fire Paul Johnson. Actually, don't fire Paul Johnson. Keep him forever. I love recruiting the state of Georgia with no competition. Yeah, I mean that. What else was there crazy this weekend?
Well, you had Texas rising up.
Yeah, Texas. I guess
I know Texas TCU. It's a rivalry, right? So they're going to play up anyway. I just expected TCU to handle themselves a little bit better.
They did the same thing they did the previous week. They just kind of second half let the foot off the pedal and just let Texas back in. So, I mean, people keep asking, is Texas back? I don't think anybody's going to answer that question for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because, dude, every time we say, oh, Texas is back, they're not back.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'll be interested to see them play Oklahoma. That'll be more of a barometer for me where they're at.
That's always a great game.
Yeah.
I love watching
I would love to go to that game.
Yeah, me too.
Would love to go to that game. I mean, that's just...
Some other kind of weird stuff. Not nearly as weird as those things, but you do have the new AP poll, which does move LSU up to 5.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, they didn't play lights out against L Tech, but then again, it's like the same thing with Georgia. I mean, we're just kind of sleepwalking, but you would think for a night game at home in Death Valley.
Yeah. I mean, it's an in-state team, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, I hope they stay in the top 5, so
you obviously want
super
that.
hyped.
If you're Georgia, you want that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Georgia's going to go out there and beat them by 2 touchdowns. I mean, as bad as they looked yesterday, I think that once they play a good team, I mean, South Carolina proved that they were good yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Which I didn't expect that either.
Yeah, see, I thought they were. I mean, I knew they were. I mean, Georgia's just – I think Georgia, when they play – the thing is they're going to be inconsistent. That's a sign of youth, right? One game they're going to throttle somebody, and then like Missouri. I mean, we had a corner – we got injured, dude. We had a cornerback out with a stomach bug. We had a wide receiver get a shoulder ding. Our starting left tackle came back in for the first 3 or 4 series and rolled over his leg. He had to go out. So we're starting a true freshman.
Yeah.
He got a couple penalties, a stupid personal foul. Then you got we had another. Then our right guard broke his leg. So I mean, we're and the best kept secret in all of the state of Georgia is that DeAndre Swift is hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, he just doesn't look explosive this year. I don't know what's going on.
He did look funny.
He's not run. I don't know what. It could be a groin thing he had back in spring. But while I'm thinking about it, the refs in that game were atrocious. I mean, Georgia got this just stupid. I'm all for protecting the quarterback. I'm all for the calls on targeting.
Yeah.
But the dude barely pushed him, and they threw a flag. And I'm just...
I did see that.
And then the same thing happened in reverse later in the game to Georgia, and they didn't call it, which... I mean, I understand protecting the quarterback, but let's play with a little common sense here.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like roughing to me at all. But
no.
And the NFL is struggling with that same deal. And I think it is a pretty big issue because you have a sport that's dangerous. I mean, it is.
Yeah.
You're slamming into each other at high speeds. These guys are strong. They're heavy,
huge. Yeah,
they're big. And it's just a tough sport. And then you want to have protections because you don't want these guys getting hurt, especially these kids.
Right.
In the NFL, I have a little bit less of an understanding because
you're getting paid
millions. I mean, there's a lot of money in it. It's your job.
Yeah,
you've chosen to do it. It's not like you need to do it to sustain a scholarship. It's not like you need to do it to, better yourself in the future. It's literally your job. So you're kind of choosing it. So I see a little bit less there. But I totally understand trying to protect these kids in college who may or may not go to the pro level.
Yeah.
Because they might need to do something else with their brain. They probably don't need to be destroyed, I'm totally for that. But it's a tough balance. I would hate to be a ref.
Yeah, I mean,
I really would. I would hate it.
Use some common sense. The dude barely pushed him. And then the targeting. I mean, I'm on board with it. I like the way they've done it now, where you can replay it. Yep. You can call targeting on a replay. You can take targeting away on a replay. You can take the penalty away on a replay.
And that has made it a lot better.
Yeah,
but it has made games a lot longer.
Yeah,
I mean, these reviews, man.
think the Georgia game was long yesterday because there was a ton of passing and a ton of injuries. It was just a ton of penalties. Mm-hmm. I don't like that crew. I mean, that refereeing crew. I could,
was it SEC refs?
Yeah, I could live without them for.
I think the Pac-12 would say the same thing, especially if you're Oregon, because the Oregon-Stanford game Saturday night. Really, I watched the whole thing and I thought Oregon just played circles around Stanford for most of the game.
Right.
And there was one thing that really kind of the refs called a weird out of bounds, like on the 1 yard line, and it kind of for some reason from there it seemed like the momentum changed, and there were a few questionable calls,
right,
that really put Stanford back in it, and they ended up winning that game in a heartbreaking overtime. And I feel for that because I think it's worse. What do you think's worse? Think it's worse to go into the game, be down the whole time and lose, or to go play your heart out and then end up losing like in the last second? I think that's way more.
Yeah, I mean, thinking back a few years ago when Georgia played Tennessee,
oh gosh, yeah,
Eason threw probably one of the best passes I think I've ever seen in my entire life down the left sideline. I mean, just we went up. We're like, oh, this game's over. We won. And then we didn't win.
Right.
On that Hail Mary.
The same day that happened.
Yeah, and then the Bama.
Florida State was playing North Carolina, and we ended up losing on a 63-yard field goal.
Who can kick 63 yards?
Apparently that guy.
It was windy that day. What hurricane was going through?
I don't remember if there was a hurricane. I know the reason I really remember it is because I was stuck in the New York City LaGuardia Airport at the time. And we were watching it on phones because our flight got canceled out of New York.
That's
to
back
Atlanta.
when we only had 3G data.
Mm-hmm.
When's 5G coming?
I don't know. Soon, I hope. Let's talk about you brought it up a little bit. Tennessee.
Oh gosh.
So now I'm dealing with all this program talk because of the way these first 4 games have gone for Taggart and FSU. But we got Tennessee, who's a program that's historic. They're storied.
Yeah.
They're previously successful.
Yeah.
And then they've had this slide for a long time. And you bring up the 2016 season when they, that crazy victory against Georgia. Pretty good season.
Yeah, for them it was decent.
Other than the loss to Vanderbilt. I would put that up there. It was a 9-4 season.
Yep.
They lost. No, they won their bowl. They beat Nebraska in their bowl. But you have losses to Alabama, which
of course.
Okay, and then that loss to Vanderbilt, and there was one more SEC loss.
Yeah,
I can't remember either. But so that was a pretty good season. But then you lose Josh Dobbs.
That's the same story with Florida. Florida has not had. They had Greer before he got caught with Peds and went to West Virginia and is now in the Heisman race.
Yeah,
but
I have separate feelings.
He was good, dude. He was balling. They were like 6-0 when he got in trouble for that with horse teeth, donkey teeth. That's my name.
Anyway, so Tennessee's had this slide, right?
Yeah.
So they changed coaches. They bring in Jeremy Pruitt. And seems weird.
He's a weird dude. When he was on staff at Georgia, there was all kinds of shady stuff going on. He came in basically, and if you know the narrative, if you follow Georgia football at all, the end of the Rick tenure, he checked out for good reasons. Sure. His wife got cancer. She went through that. At that point, he was not into football the way he was when he first came to Georgia and when he was at FSU. That's cool. He's a great man. Nobody's questioning his character. But Pruitt comes in and starts ruling the roost.
Yeah.
And making some questionable decisions and some questionable hires. We hired a dude that was not qualified to coach our offensive line. That was bad. We hired some defensive guys. The defense was solid when he was there. He made
which they were at. Defense was solid at FSU when he was
there too,
so.
And we made a very questionable hire based on Pruitt's judgment for strength and conditioning coach, and that killed us. Supposedly, and I haven't verified this. I don't think Snopes would have this on there, but supposedly that strength and conditioning coach ended up working at Planet Fitness when he got fired because he couldn't find another job.
Oh,
yeah, it was that like people just. So Pruitt to me, and then the worst thing is we got beat by Florida. We put in Faton Bauta which is our third-string quarterback, supposedly the runner. Doesn't run, throws like 3 or 4 picks, just get throttled by Florida.
Oh, man, I remember that now.
Yeah. So Pruitt apparently the next morning showed up on Mark Richt's lawn drunk, knocking on the door, and had to be taken away. He had a bunch of they couldn't have a whole staff meeting of the whole staff at Georgia because people were so at odds with him.
Wow.
We had one of the linebackers coaches told him if he ever did that again, he would blankety blank rip his throat out.
Oh man.
Thomas Brown, one of our former running backs at Georgia, under Rick, great dude, great coach. He had to be restrained because Pruitt was cussing Rick out at practice. So to me, this is like, I don't know. It's almost
it's one of those things where you don't really have too much that's solid
about
it, but you get this vibe.
He's a good coach, dude.
Yeah,
I mean, but he went back with Saban. Saban rehabilitated him, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's the new. Kiffin seems to be doing okay, but I think Kiffin Kiffin got Jesus. He says he got Jesus, so I'm not going to question that.
He belongs at FAU, though.
He belongs there.
That was like his thing.
Yeah, but he got Jesus. He's straightened out. But Pruitt, man, I don't know, dude.
Still question marks. And this is one of those things. I watched a little bit of the Tennessee-Florida game, which was not pretty.
They look terrible. They look like nope. They look like a peewee coach coached them.
Good.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm not going to say too much because I don't know.
Yeah, Florida and FSU is on the cooking channel, right? 9 a.m.
It's going to be a brunch game. So get your eggs and bacon. Yeah. So they had during that game though Tennessee had a linebacker, Quarte Sapp, and it apparently he refused to enter the game.
Yeah.
And Pruitt told reporters that Sapp wouldn't go in, and because of that, he told him he needed to leave the game. So Sapp apparently leaves. Okay. But then he tweeted.
Yeah.
Sapp tweets out, "Never would I disrespect my team, my coaches, my family, or the fans by not giving my all for Tennessee. I'm only going to address the situation publicly once, knowing the current narrative has been created through miscommunication. During the UT versus UF game, I was never asked, nor did I ever refuse to go into the game. There was a sideline confrontation that I'm sure will be resolved internally that occurred, and the other party involved had to be restrained."
Do you think that was Pruitt?
Well, I don't know.
Dude, Pruitt, during that game, I saw a little clip. He turns around while one of his defensive coaches is coaching some of the guys, and he starts kicking the whiteboard.
I mean, but this is, the weird thing about this is you have this player, you have Sapp saying totally the opposite of what Pruitt said to the media. Because Pruitt said after the game, he wouldn't go into the game when he was asked to go in. I don't know how things were done before, but when you tell somebody to go in, they refuse. We're not going to do that around here. I asked him to leave. He didn't leave on his own. I asked him to leave. Two totally different narratives here.
Right.
So it's one thing if there are a few details that are different, but we're talking about two totally different stories.
Yeah, it's totally different narratives.
What's happening here?
It's a dumpster fire.
Now, I know Sapp is a college student.
Yeah.
He's a young guy. But I don't have the narrative behind him we have behind Pruitt.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes you wonder.
Here's the thing with Pruitt. I mean, supposedly he was ran off from Florida State because he was womanizing, right? With co-eds, and he's too old to do that.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the narrative of why he came after winning the national championship to Georgia. I mean, this dude's got shade all over him.
Yeah.
From multiple angles, multiple programs. I mean, only at Alabama, which nobody will cross Lord Saban.
Sure.
I mean, he pull out his lightsaber and cut your throat, but
right.
I don't know. I just don't think it's going to work. I think he's going to set them further back.
I hate that for Tennessee.
I don't.
I know that you don't because y'all are rivals, but I hate to see a storied program.
See, are they storied? See, I mean, they had Peyton. They won one the Natty in '98. I mean,
I think so.
They were okay. They had to
me, you talk about Peyton Manning, maybe the best quarterback ever. Would you agree with that?
One of them, yeah, for sure. I want to look up something real quick. Go ahead.
But I mean, you got that. You have a Natty. Because they went to one. Am I remembering this right? They went to one the year before, and didn't win, and then they beat Florida State in '98, right?
Yeah.
So they were in it twice in a row, I think.
Yeah, Peyton didn't win it because the year after Peyton left, T. Martin took over, and we were all happy because we thought, okay, finally we're done with this. And
that was '98, right?
Yeah, that was '98. I was my freshman year of
college. They played Florida
college.
State in the championship in '98, and we lost.
Yeah, because they had Travis Henry and another Travis at the same time, and one of them got hurt right before the Georgia game, and the other dude just came in and ran it down our throat.
Yeah. So yeah, I think when you got Peyton Manning and one championship, and you went to another, I think that's storied. That's storied enough.
Yeah, I mean, when I think storied, I'm looking at the all-time wins. I mean, they're 13.
I don't know. I think so. I just hate it for the fans because and I hate it for those players too. Even though, we see a fair amount of Tennessee players, make good pro careers. But I just hate that you have somebody shady come in because they were in such a bad situation hiring a coach.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
they were looking so late. All the good guys have been kind of grabbed up.
And who wants to go there?
I'm not saying that Pruitt's not going to. I mean, Pruitt might turn it around. It might be great, but I think with all the shade, it's just kind of.
But who wants to go there? That's the other thing. I mean, Knoxville's okay as a city, but in terms of recruiting, Tennessee is not a powerhouse state for recruits.
No,
I mean,
you have to compete with Georgia.
Yeah, you have to come
Georgia's
down
so
here.
Close.
You have to come down here where
Bama's close.
Kirby's killing it and Alabama's killing it. You got Auburn that does a decent job in Georgia, and then they got to go to Florida. That's a couple even further away.
Yeah, you got to jump all the way to Florida,
Texas, California. Texas. Yeah, I mean,
it is a tough place.
It's a tough place to recruit. When they were the pipeline when they had Jamal Lewis.
Yeah,
he's from Atlanta.
Yeah,
I mean, when they were balling, they were pulling from all over. But then the Orange Pumpkin overstayed his welcome, and that's Phil Fulmer for the uneducated.
Well, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still the AD. Guaranteed. This is my prediction. Pruitt's going to get fired mid-season either this year or next, and the Pumpkin's going to take over. And I'm going to love it. One of my favorite sports moments ever was sitting in the upper deck of Neyland Stadium last year, and Peyton Manning was there. They were retiring his number, and all this other jazz.
Yeah.
And the fans, as soon as they finished that ceremony for Peyton, it was mass exodus. And this is at halftime because we were thrashing them 41-0. Oh,
I know that's a relishing moment for a rival fan, but it's like, to me, it's just sad. I'm just sad for them.
I'm not sad for them or Florida. Florida's the same story, though. I mean, Florida hires Muschamp, great defense. I mean, and then McElwain comes in and rides the coattails of that defense and those recruits for a couple years. Right. Naked. That's the most amazing picture.
I know it wasn't him, but I've never seen two people that look more alike.
It was him. You can't disprove the narrative.
The
truth is what you want the truth to be, according to Donald Trump. I mean, I'm just saying.
Other than the Steelers coach and the doctor from House, not House, but the other guy.
Yeah.
Foreman. They look the same, dude. I swear that's the same person.
I mean, here and for both of them, the issue has been quarterback play.
Yeah.
I mean, Felipe Franks is terrible. Guantanamo is not great, and they haven't even released the betting line on the game yet, the Georgia game, the Georgia-Tennessee game, because he may be hurt. He may not be playing.
I think quarterback play is huge, but I think running backs too.
Yeah,
because we had Alvin Kamara at Tennessee, who
he wasn't great there.
He was a lot greater in that JUCO season he had.
Yeah.
Obviously had issues because Saban dismissed him. He went and played in JUCO, and then he came to Tennessee. He had an okay season, but he's killing it now at the Saints.
He reminds me of Terrell Davis, underutilized at the college level, and just goes to the NFL and friggin' blows it up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Terrell Davis was amazing. Thanks, Ray Goff.
But I mean, I can't even name a Florida running back.
Yeah, I can't either. I can't name. I mean, I knew who their quarterback is, but their cornerbacks are gone. Their defense is weak this year. Kentucky beat them, which that's another story. Kentucky may be for real.
4-0, man.
I mean, we're looking.
They're ranked now.
Georgia's looking at going to LSU, playing Kentucky and Auburn.
Yeah,
that stretch did not look nearly as tough, which in some ways I don't think Auburn is as tough as I never thought Auburn was going to be that tough at home this year. They lost too many offensive linemen.
Good for the strength of the schedule, though.
Yeah, I'm still not sold that their quarterback is, that Stidham is as great as people think he is. I'm not sold that LSU is going to be that great, but we'll see. I mean, here's the thing about college football. The only thing I can say with confidence right now, I don't know anybody that can beat Bama, dude. They're otherworldly. They might not beat the Bills now. The Bills won.
I know, the Bills. What was that? What happened to the Vikings, man? Anyway, I hate to jump all over the place, but I'm not trying to dig on Tennessee. You look at these things happen, and you got to wonder, like, what can be done.
I mean, they're going to have to. I don't know that they're. I mean, the level they've sunk to, I just wonder if they're going to be able to get back. It's going to be years. Even if Pruitt stays, even if Pruitt's a decent recruiter, all he has to sell right now is instant playing time. That's it. I mean, because if he can get some 5 stars, 4 stars guys, high 3-star guys to come in and take over, maybe they can eke out a few wins. But we're talking about a team that was 0-8 in the SEC last year, and I don't see them. Who do you see them beating in the SEC this year? Maybe Vandy, and I doubt that because Vandy's defense is good.
Vandy's confusing to me because of the way they hung around with Notre Dame and then get crushed this past weekend. I don't know.
I think South Carolina's good. I mean, they got a good receiver and a good quarterback, a decent run game. Their defense is not great. It's decent. It's enough to keep them in the game. Jake Bentley's a good quarterback.
He is. He is.
I think Kirby is a good coach. I think Kirby we erased Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
Not many teams have an eraser at corner. Yeah. I mean, that's a huge – when you can erase the other team's best player, and they – like we did it again this weekend against Missouri.
Yep.
They basically erased their best receiver. I mean, that's huge. Now, the problem is when you play a Bama, who do you erase?
Right.
I mean –
to get through that line and erase the quarterback is –
dude, yeah. So Florida State won, right? Did you watch it?
Yep, I did. I watched the whole thing. The game lasted a really long time. But there were some improvements. I think I don't have a whole lot of hope for a bowl really, or
who do you have this weekend?
We got Louisville this weekend.
You should beat them.
And Louisville's struggling.
Yeah.
And I think if there's going to be a time to take advantage of that, it would be this weekend.
It couldn't happen to a better person.
Right. But I don't. And then we got Miami the week after. Which I still don't know. I mean, I don't think anyone really knows how good Miami is. They made some personnel changes.
Right, they changed quarterbacks.
No more Rozier. They went with the other kid, and they played well against Florida International. But we're talking about Florida International. I don't know.
Maybe Florida State will get up for it.
I don't know how you compare Florida International and Northern Illinois. But I kind of think Northern Illinois is better. I don't know. It will be a rivalry game. They will play up. I think. I don't think it's just going to come in and be a smash.
No. No. I mean, you got to get your guys on the line.
But listen, the O line looked a little bit better. Those first 2 drives, lot of luck on the first drive.
Yeah.
Francois threw that pass and it bounced off, and Jacquez Patrick just happened to be in the end zone and caught it. But it was momentum. And the second drive looked like the Florida State I know, that I remember being so excited about because they just drove it down their throats. And then you had Jacquez running straight down the middle and just bulldozing those guys. And then that second touchdown, I knew it was coming. I said, here comes the counterplay. Handed to Cam. Frenchie goes left, Cam goes right. Untouched, touchdown. They look good and I think there are these little flashes, but the O-line is so hurt, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk about them not being good, and they're not because they're not the starters.
Right.
I mean, you got one starter, and you got other guys who are not guards and are not tackles and playing the opposite position. I don't think the depth of the lack of depth can be stressed enough on that O-line, especially with the injuries.
Yeah, that's going to take a couple
rotating
years.
Guys, it's really going to be a tough season regardless because of that.
It's so odd to me that Jimbo left the cupboard bare. I mean,
and it's,
at line.
As much as confusion that I see from Taggart, like in the first couple of games, I went back and I watched him coach at USF. I watched a few of their games, and I watched a few of his Oregon games last year. Some when they had Justin Herbert and they won, some when they didn't and they lost. I like the guy, and I think he is a decent coach. I think his season at Oregon last year would have been a lot better.
Yeah, if Herbert,
Justin Herbert not gotten hurt. I mean, you see the stats; they won all the games they had him.
Yeah, I think he's going to turn it around.
Yeah,
I think it's just going to take.
And I like the guy, I really do.
I think it's going to take some time. It may be like a Tom Herman. You feel like you're taking 2 steps forward and 1 back for a couple of years.
Yeah,
they're going to be young the next couple of years. They're going to have
are.
to be. And Francois is a good quarterback. I mean, I think he's got to learn the system.
And
he needs protection.
I think it would be a lot different. I don't know that he would grasp the offense better. He might have had more trouble grasping it had he played all year last year, because he would have been in Jimbo's mostly pro style scheme. But I don't know. I think him getting hurt, that's a serious injury.
Right.
He's playing a little bit scared. And when you've been hurt, you didn't really get in until fall camp. And now your O-line is fractured and really broken, and you're scared to get hit. I mean, you're going to get hit, you know that. And he took all those hits in 2016, but he was fresh.
Yeah.
He was younger, he was healthier. So, I don't know. He's an athlete, man. He does it. And he stepped up in the pocket a little bit more. He ran better.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to get better game to game when you're learning the offense. It'll just...
And honestly, the points that the Huskies put on the board were on these long, like, huge 60-yard plays.
Yeah.
I mean, that was 2 of the touchdowns were plus 50-yard plays. 1 play. And I hate to do it, but you got Levante Taylor, who's a 5-star.
Mm-hmm.
But he's lined up with these... I mean, he's so short and small, and he's lined up with these 6'5" receivers. He can't cover them.
Right.
Maybe like me trying to cover them.
Yeah, that's why cornerbacks, they're recruiting long, long arm guys.
He's a great athlete. He's a great player, but he gets blown up because he can't reach.
Yeah, there's a Jemias Williams at South Carolina, same way. He moved from corner to safety, and he's still just... When Georgia's receivers lined up for him against them at the game, I just chuckled out loud because he looks like a midget. He's like 5'7", and we got these big 6'3" jack dudes that look like they would rip your head off, and you're like, this is going to be a long day.
I watched them line up a few times, and I go, this is going to go to Levante's side, and he's not going to be able to cover that guy.
So what about A&M, talking about your boy Jimbo? So you think, the question is, what... In my mind, obviously, you start comparing results. You're like, okay, these dudes almost clipped Clemson. Yeah. I know it was at home. I know that's big for A&M.
I think here's the thing. Texas A&M obviously is not as they're not in a Tennessee situation,
right? No,
as far as a
means.
program,
right?
But as far as geography, they're kind of in the same boat. I know they're in Texas, but you got to compete with Texas.
Yeah, the good news is Texas is down. I mean, Texas is not maybe,
but you're also dealing with TCU, who's not really down.
Nope,
they're middle of the road. They're not. They're hanging out in the bottom of the top 25. Yeah. So you got to deal with TCU and Texas.
Yeah,
A&M. And Jimbo's a great recruiter, man. I mean, he
just needs to manage the roster better. That's the other thing I've learned watching Kirby Smart versus Mark Richt versus XYZ. Kirby is managing the roster well. I mean, we bring in a graduate transfer at punter last year, lights out. I mean, it just changed. Our special teams were near the bottom in 2016, near the top in 2017. Yep. I mean, we brought in Jay Hayes, who's been okay on the defensive line from Notre Dame this year. His first year, he brought in Maurice Smith from Alabama. You remember the transfer saga with Saban. He manages the roster well. We are rebuilding our offensive line. I mean, those dudes are huge.
But again, we got to come back and we look at Kirby's first season at UGA.
Oh, they weren't good.
It was a down season.
Dude, we lost to Vandy.
And just like Tag at FSU, just like Pruitt at Tennessee, just like Scott Frost in Nebraska. Talk about being down. They are
bad right now.
That is a true. I think Frost is really committing to the culture change.
Yeah,
and it's going to be like that. I mean, I think if
That's
you're,
the thing.
if you're a Nebraska fan, you just got to hold on.
You rolled. That's the right word. Culture change. It is a culture change. You have to embed that culture in everything
and
you
I
do.
think that's the same thing that's happening at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
because Jimbo runs a very specific culture. You got Tag coming in at FSU, and he's totally changing that culture too. I mean, it's different.
Right.
You got to give these coaches a chance, man.
Yeah, I agree.
You got Chip Kelly, UCLA struggling. I don't know why.
I mean, defenses catch up to offenses. That happens.
You gotta give some time.
He's been outside of. I mean, he's been down for a few years now.
Yeah, and he's coming back to it.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I mean, Pruitt. I don't want Pruitt to succeed. He's just a.
But you have your own feelings about it, and we all do.
Yeah, that's color in my perception. Because he's a great coach.
All the Oregon fans,
have
all these feelings about Taggart, and they don't want him to succeed with us. And I'm sure there's some UCF fans that feel that way about Nebraska, and I kind of feel that way about Texas A&M with Jimbo because of the way he left us. But we can't just throw it all out. Like,
dude,
these first seasons, you gotta give it some time.
I'm still scratching my head on that one though. I know that Jimbo had issues with the administration, the boosters at FSU, but there's no way I'm going to the SEC West. No way.
It's a big paycheck, brother.
It is a big paycheck.
And he had issues with his wife.
Yeah.
He had the illness and stuff with his child. I mean, I see it. I can see how all that kind of piles up, and then somebody offers you a gigantic pay raise, and you're like, okay, I'll go.
So what else we got? We've been talking about college football. For those people that listen for the Chiefs, comment on golf.
Well, if
Tiger
he was
won.
here, if Chief was here, he would have wanted to talk about Tiger Woods the entire time. He wouldn't want to talk about football at all.
Yeah, he's done with FSU, isn't he, for the year?
No, I don't know.
He pulled
about
down
that.
the Osceola poster. Did you notice that? He burned it.
I'll take it. I want it in here. He just gets down. He gets down about football.
Yeah, I mean, his goat did almost die recently, and his dog.
Right.
That's a good song.
But they both survived.
That's a song. We could have wrote a country song about that.
He really should. Chief should write a country song. But yeah, you have Tiger winning his first one since 13.
Bills win.
Miraculous.
Browns.
That still counts as this weekend because it was Thursday.
Garoppolo may be done. ACL is what they're thinking.
Yeah,
he's gosh, I hate that for him, man.
He's crazy good. Awesome Holmes.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
And I know he lit it up at Texas Tech, just like Mayfield did at Oklahoma. But man, to me that's really fun. That's really why I like the NFL now. Is because I see these guys that I've been following several years of college football, and then they come up, and just do it.
Baker Mayfield's still a punk.
You think so?
Yeah, dude. He when they were beating Georgia, he did the whole slash the throat.
I mean,
thing.
I know. I think he's just young.
We had the last laugh on that though, didn't we? Sonny Michel, buddy. He said, "What's up?"
That's on the Patriots last night. We had poor Sony out there running the ball, and you got all-star Tom Brady doing you no favors.
I'll take
an interception. The last two Patriot drives, he threw an interception, and then the last drive he threw this ball on a long third down, and it bounced on the ground right before the receiver caught it. So it was incomplete. Fourth down, they're going for it because there's no time left.
Yeah.
Going for it, and he gets sacked. O-line just let him down. I don't think I've ever seen Brady that frustrated.
They're notoriously slow starters, though.
I know.
Mean, they are.
Because the last time they started this way, they ended up, 12-4 or something?
Dude, it's like Alabama. I keep waiting on the dynasty to end.
I know.
And hoping. Because it's just not fun.
It's really not.
Like college football this year, I'm sitting there Saturday watching Alabama just beat the brakes off of Texas A&M, and I'm like, this just isn't fun. Because I literally, the only thing is it'll be on a neutral field when somebody's in the playoffs and in the championship game. If it gets that far.
But listen, man. Bama fans, I love you guys. I'm glad you're having a good time. Clemson fans, I know y'all are having a good time too. But if it's Alabama-Clemson again, I'm going to watch it. I'm not going to be one of those and say, I'm not watching it. But I'm not going to love watching it. It's much more fun if we can get, Alabama, Georgia, I loved it. Because
that's the second most watched
because it's
championship
it's
game
something
ever.
Different. We've already had Alabama, Clemson.
It was a good game, too.
Yeah.
Gosh, that was a good game. even though I can't bring myself to go back and watch it, I just can't. Great game.
Yeah.
I want something different. I mean, I don't know who or what.
And I don't know why we've been on here an hour and we haven't even mentioned it, but maybe we just shouldn't mention Ohio State at all. Like, what if we made that like a
Urban
theme?
Crier.
We just never mention Ohio State.
They're good, dude. I mean, I
know they're good.
Penn State this weekend, that's going to be a real test for them. We'll see.
Penn State, I'm glad you brought that up before we close, because Penn State played Friday night against Illinois. And it was close for a while, and then they put up 35 points in the fourth quarter. That's scary, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know it's Illinois. But
Lovie Smith.
But still, if you can play football that long,
right,
for 3 quarters, and then come out and blow up, I mean, that's just...
Dude, let's be honest. It's just hard to get up when you know you're playing. Like, even us as fans, can you imagine what it's like for a kid, 18 years old? They're like, I got to go play Missouri.
I know.
I mean, at 11 a.m. in the morning.
College game day was in Eugene.
Right.
Were you watching it?
Yeah.
Because it starts at 9 on the East Coast, so it was still dark.
Right.
They're sitting there. All those fans came out in the dark. I bet it was...
11 a.m. is too early, man.
I don't know. I like it. I usually eat a whole pizza before noon. That's not a good habit. I got to get out of that. I gotta quit going to Domino's before
Domino's? That's not even...
Yeah, dude, because they got the carryout for $6. 2 toppings, large.
It's been real.
It's been a time.
Now we need to go get a large pizza.
I'm hungry now. Randy, thanks for being with me on Third and Long. If you've been here with us, hanging out with us live on Spreaker, we appreciate that. If you are listening later, we also appreciate that. Leave us a comment or a review. It really helps us out. Join us next Monday for more football and sports news. It'll be Monday around noon. I know that's not like professional to say you're going to be on around a time, but look.
We have real jobs.
Yeah.
We're real people.
Okay, stuff happens. I can't always be on at noon, exactly. But it will be around the lunch hour, either one way or the other, for Third and Long on Mondays. But Wednesday at 2, we have Third Thoughts, and that's pretty consistent. So join us for that if you're into current events, want to hear our totally professional opinions about all the things that are happening.
And we'll have the Chief Redneck himself here.
And Chief will be in it. He'll be talking about something and not letting me talk, because that's what he does.
Peace.
Until next time, this has been Third and Long. I've been Clay. I've been with Randy. We'll see you next week.